Today we're going to take a look at some of the highlights from the collection of 19th and 20th century European and American art at the Pushkin Museum of Fine Art in Moscow. As we enter the building, there are two paintings by Pierre Bonnard on either side of the staircase, as well as a series of sculptures by Aristide Maolo. Let's take a quick look at some of the gems inside of this small building. Hello, my name is Kathy Locke. Thank you for joining me today. I'm a San Francisco-based painter, graduate professor, and the editor of Musings on Art. I've chosen just a few pieces to discuss from the Pushkin Museum's world-famous collection of primarily French paintings. Here we have a beautiful piece by Jean-Auguste Ingres, neoclassical master. It has several names, one of which is Madonna before a bowl with a chalice, and the other is Virgin with Chalice. This was commissioned by Tsar Nicholas I as a wedding gift for his son Alexander II to Princess Marie of Hesse. They were married in 1841, the year this was painted. This was painted at the height of Ingres' career in Rome when he was very influenced by Raphael. We see here two saints, Saint Nicholas on the left and Prince Alexander Nevsky on the right. Prince Alexander Nevsky was known as Saint Alexander. The painting deals with the concepts of balance and harmony, Saint Nicholas having a forgiving nature, while Saint Alexander was famous as a Russian military leader. In this composition, we see that all the heads are in alignment on one line, where the center figure, the vertical, creates a cross between the two. There is an excellent collection of Barbizon School paintings at the Pushkin, and here are just two. These are by Jean-Baptiste Camille Corot. They're both late career pieces. On the left is Perry Fon's Castle, painted in 1860, and on the right is Evening, which is one of his very last paintings. His use of light and attention to detail is what set him apart. Corot worked with a lot of muted color, which he blended to create soft edges for a dreamy effect. This was painted by the Russian painter Ivan Kramskoy. It's called A Bunch of Flowers, Blocks. It was painted 3 years before he died, and it's a very unusual piece because this painter was a portrait artist, and he was known for his limited range of color that was driven by tonal values. Kramskoy considered himself a poor colorist and admired his younger contemporaries for their use of color. In 1870, he wrote about the French Impressionists, just a small group of laughed-at painters, but the future belongs to them. One can only wonder if by painting this colorful floral, if Kramskoy wanted to join this group of French painters. This painting is by Jules Bastein-LePage. It's called Country Love. It was painted in 1882. This artist lived a very short life, dying at the age of 36, and he painted this canvas 2 years before he died. LePage became famous for this series of country paintings where he is credited for the development of naturalism. He painted the landscape outdoors in the French countryside where he was from, and the two figures were painted inside his studio. This is considered one of Alfred Sisley's best landscapes. It is titled Frosty Morning in Louveciennes, painted in 1873. Sisley and Monet painted side by side. One critic wrote this about their work. At first sight, it is difficult to spot the difference between the works of Monet and Sisley. Look a little deeper. However, you will soon notice that while Monet is most adept and daring, Sisley is the most harmonious and hesitant. Here we see a beautiful use of complementary colors of orange and blue. The composition is divided in half, with the sky occupying one half and the land the other half. The Avenue of the Opera, Snow Morning, painted in 1898 by Camille Pissarro. This was painted at a time when Pissarro was under house arrest and was forced to stay in an apartment in Paris. He was on the French government's watch list for his anarchist viewpoints. Corot was influenced by Pissarro's teeny brushwork, and they worked together often. Pissarro learned about chroma theories from Corot. Claude Monet painted 20 canvases of the Rouen Cathedral at different times of the day. The Pushkin Museum has 2 of the Rouen Cathedral paintings. Here we see how Monet catches the slightest change in light and color. On the left is the Rouen Cathedral at sunset, and on the right is at noon, both painted in 1894. In February of 1892, Monet went to Rouen and rented a room in the main street directly opposite of this famous Gothic cathedral. And he wrote this: "I'm finished. I can't carry on anymore. I had a night full of nightmares. The cathedral overwhelmed me. It kept changing from blue to pink, then to yellow." Here we see Edgar Degas' Blue Dancers, painted in 1898. It's a pastel on paper. We see the movement of a young girl moving around the canvas. This is one of his late career pieces. The blue color tells us that this is actually a symbolist piece. Degas has painted the same young girl drawn in circles as a symbol of eternity. Notice his use of line. This entire painting is created with vertical lines. Degas was famous for his use of line. This was painted in 1876 and has been known by 3 titles: Nude, The Beautiful Anna, and The Pearl. The title The Pearl refers to her skin because the color of her skin changes as the light changes throughout the day. Renior reflected the color of the fabric into her skin. When first exhibited, it caused a scandal, and critics said her skin looked like raw meat, so this painting never sold. In 1898, Peter Shishkin was given this painting for free as part of a bargain because of his purchase of a Japanese screen. The painting was not intended for public display, and only one or two people knew the painting existed in Shishkin's private apartments. When he would have people over for dinner, he would invite the men up to his study where he had the painting hanging behind a red velvet curtain. He would pull back the curtain to display the painting and say, "Please forgive the weakness of this old bachelor." This is one of Vincent van Gogh's last paintings before his death in 1890, and it is titled Landscape at Ouvers After the Rain. Here we see complementary colors of red and green with his famous red roofs. This landscape conveys a feeling of loneliness. There are no people present, only one lone carriage with a single horse. The Sea at St. Mary's, painted in 1888, was the only painting that Van Gogh sold in his lifetime. It sold for 380 francs to Anna Bach when there was an exhibition in Belgium with the art group Les 20. Her brother was attracted to Van Gogh and convinced Anna to purchase the painting. This was painted during Gauguin's first trip to Tahiti. He used Tahitian words for the titles of these paintings so that his wife could not understand what they meant. This one translates to, "What, are you jealous?" It was thought that the title actually refers to the painting's eventual spectators who might be envious of Gauguin's tropical lifestyle. A critic commented, "If he represents jealousy, it is with fire of pinks and violets where all nature would seem to participate like a conscious and tactile being." Here Gauguin is using techniques from synthesism, where all the elements are treated like puzzle pieces that fit together. He is flattening out space and using complementary colors of red and green. Rupi Rupi translates to Tahiti is a Wonderland, painted in 1899. This painting is considered the greatest masterpiece of Gauguin's career. It was purchased by Sergei Shishkin and is never exhibited outside of Russia. Gauguin has created a symbolist piece here. The fruit picker is placed in the center of the canvas and symbolizes temptation, and a land of paradise. The three women are against a golden background representing the Trinity. The young girl on the far left looks like a Madonna from an old Renaissance painting, and the rider on the dark horse on the right is the classical symbol of death. Underneath that are puppies that represent life or birth. This is a very famous triptych by Henri Matisse that was commissioned by Russian billionaire Ivan Morozov. These paintings are part of Matisse's Moroccan series painted while he was in Morocco from 1912 to 1913. These paintings represent different times of the day. The first one on the left is called Landscape View from a Window. This is the view from Matisse's apartment in Morocco. Here he is flattening out space, working with primary colors and geometric shapes. The second one in the middle is called Zora on the Terrace. Here we see a servant sitting in the shade. The third one on the right is called Entrance to the Kasbah. Everything is lit by the sun, is painted in very bright pinks, and the shadows are very dark blues. You can see the city way in the background with long shadows and a few highlights where the sun is hitting the buildings. It is time for a siesta and everyone has gone to sleep. We can see the servant Sora in a shady place in the foreground on the left side. Matisse has painted her in silhouette, as if not to distract from the strong geometric shapes created by the red road and archway. Matisse actually came to Moscow to hang these paintings in Morozov's mansion. However, Morozov found working with Matisse so frustrating that he never commissioned another painting from him. Painted in 1905, Young Acrobat on a Ball is part of Picasso's Pink period and is one of his most famous canvases. Here, Picasso is conveying a sense of happiness in this playful canvas of traveling circus performers. Picasso is contrasting the strong man versus the small young girl on the ball. He is flattening out space as he plays with warms and cool colors. This last piece is Portrait of Ambrose Boulard, painted in 1910. Sergei Shishkin bought this directly from Picasso and only paid 300 francs for it. Shishkin had just purchased 30 other canvases, so Picasso gave him a deal. This painting shows the next evolution of Cubism, which is called analytical Cubism. It looks like a broken mirror with pieces going in every direction at different angles. He is taking shapes and looking at them from various points of view. This method became so complex that it is almost impossible to figure out the images. This was a quick look at an amazing museum in Moscow. If you would like to tour the artwork in Russia, I offer a number of different programs throughout the year for the art lover, as well as workshops for artists who want to join me in plein air painting. Please visit RussianArtTour.com to see these programs. For more detailed articles and videos on a wide variety of artists throughout the world, please visit musingsonart.org. As well, we sell fine art paintings from established artists from around the world and prints by Russian, French, and American masters. Thank you for joining me today.